Boom, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy Deshaun, otherwise known as Kirby's Rotten Toenail, but you guys can just call me Chon or Zabu or so many different things. Shout out to Ann over there on the side, so I'm going to keep looking over there randomly. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I was just recording this for 20 minutes, and then it didn't work, and then I wanted to take a cry. Yep, there was her arm. So now I have to redo this, and that's not a big deal. So if you guys want to skip to a certain part of the podcast, there's timestamps down below. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Let me turn the mic down a little bit. I see I'm getting in the red. Let's go. Let's start up on this. Oh my lord, I am getting really loud in here. Let's calm down. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Let's do it. So, first thing I wanted to talk about was I just want to talk about the Chris Rock slap because I don't want to have to talk about it anymore. I know it's kind of getting outdated and annoying and boring, but I just wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the whole thing itself. I don't even have to explain what happened. You all know. But essentially, I'll start with Chris Rock's joke. I don't think that was too serious of a joke to warrant that. Comedians make jokes about people all the time, especially when they're hosting something like that. It just kind of happens. So for that to be something like he went up there and slapped him like it was almost unexpected or something, and I don't even think it was that out of pocket. Like I know, excuse me, Jada's suffering from she has some disease called alopecia or something like that. Basically some hair loss thing. And that could be a touchy subject, and I completely get it. If that's something she's really struggling with and it's a really sensitive topic for her, I completely understand and get that. But I don't think the joke was so under the belt that it would like hit so hard. And if it does, then I don't want to say like she's being too sensitive or whatever, or they're being too sensitive, meaning her and Will, but it was a pretty light little tap. Like he could have been way more crazy with it, but it was pretty. He's just a G.I. Jane movie. It was a quick one. He didn't like do all this setup and make all these side jokes for this big punch. It was just like, oh, can't wait to see the next G.I. Jane joke, and people are like ha ha ha, and they just sent him over the top. Do I think Chris Rock was in the wrong for maybe joking on that? It's kind of hard for me to say that because I love stand-up comedy and comedians in general, and like I'm not gonna say I have a dark sense of humor to make myself seem so edgy and like, oh my god, I'm like this crazy like edgelord who never gets offended, but like it's kind of hard because that would mean if that's too far, then all of my favorite comedians have taken it farther and are too far. So it's kind of hard to do that. But I guess if that was a really touchy subject, that probably should have been something that Will and Jada just talked to Chris Rock about backstage after that. They probably should have just taken that kind of on the chin. I think you can kind of give him a face to kind of let him know. Probably don't do that. I'm pretty sure Chris Rock would have picked up on the facial expression. So did it warrant Will Smith walking up on stage and just straight slapping him? No. That could have been handled backstage, but I know a lot of people are wondering, oh, maybe it's fake because it was like, I think it's like some first all black produced Oscars. There's some like it's a first of something. So, you know, people are like, oh, maybe it was staged to get the views, and boy, did they get a lot more views because of it. But I take it or leave it. I don't really care if it's fake or not, but regardless, shouldn't have been done if it was real, and if it was fake, I mean, I guess it worked, but whatever. Who cares? I just don't want to have to talk about it anymore. So there we go. There is that. Now, moving on, I wanted to talk about how I felt about the Halo TV show. For those of you who don't know, Paramount Plus has a new Halo weekly TV show that a lot of people are excited for because Halo Infinite came out, and we had been waiting on an official in-theater Halo movie or some kind of like Halo TV show. We've seen success with The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett, so there's obviously a market for extended TV shows of already established IPs and stuff like that. So Halo basically had the perfect opportunity to really wow and bring people over to Paramount Plus, because if you guys remember, something like Netflix has Chappelle stand-up specials that are only available on Netflix. When Bird Box came out, that was a big one. It had Stranger Things. I think Orange is the New Black was, I guess, big. Yeah, Squid Games was like its own like thing you could only find on Netflix. Thank you for I forgot about Squid Games. Holy crap. That was so big for a hot second. But yeah, Netflix has those things. Disney Plus has, like I said, The Mandalorian, all the Star Wars, and all these different things that'll bring people there. And Hulu just has like a lot of cartoons and stuff. So Paramount Plus needed something to establish itself and get its footing in this competitive um, video streaming market. And that big thing was, I guess, supposed to be Halo from what I've been hearing about it. And not only did it fail to be the big thing that is on Paramount Plus that you like have to immediately subscribe to Paramount Plus to watch, it also failed to be an entertaining Halo TV show, and it failed to be an entertaining TV show, period. It's really disappointing, sad, and it doesn't make sense because you don't know who who the heck freaking like wrote this, like who wrote this, who directed this, why is it like this. They did say that they didn't play any of the games, and it's a lot off of the book lore and whatnot, which okay, whatever, that's, I guess, I mean, Halo is literally known for its video games. It wasn't like, yeah, Halo lore is really cool. Did you know they also made games? Like, nobody cares as much about the lore as they do about the game. The game is what sold the Xbox. It's one of the biggest video game franchises ever and has led to like one of the most hugest loyal, well, not as loyal much since Halo Reach, fan bases ever. So it like set so many grounds and broke so many records for online gaming in general that when we hear we're getting a TV show, we're going in expecting it to be at least similar to the games, and it's just not. I will give the first 15 minutes of the episode some credit because it was a fantastic first 15 minutes. I was having a ball. I was watching. It was me and like my cousins and my dad and my best friend. We were all just having a ball, like watching the elites. We see the Phantom come in, the elites come in, and the Resistance like shooting them with their little weak AKs and stuff like that. And the bullets were just barely tickling their little shields. They're like, what? These little puny humans, and they're like shooting them, and there's like limbs falling off and exploding, and people are getting like absolutely like desecrated, like this, all this destruction. They're like opening a room full of innocent civilians who are like, or innocent resistance members, and they're unarmed, and the elites just blast right through them. And I was like, okay, they're not gonna, somebody's gonna say that, nah, they got slaughtered in there. It was a lot of cool shots. You know, there's a shot where the dude's like banging on the door trying to get in, then all of a sudden you see the energy sword things go right through the door, and you see him like, you know, he's obviously the one who's getting stabbed. It's crazy. Then the Spartans come in, and there's this huge fight, and like there's all like, I was enjoying that so much, except for I was getting a little hindered off the way the chief looked, sounded, and was kind of acting. It was a little unchief like here and there. I can get over his voice, I guess, whatever. I can't get really over his height. He looked like a little kid fighting elites when he's like just as tall as elites, probably a little bit shorter, but whatever. And it's just not the same Master Chief, so it's kind of hard to get a little like completely immersed because the whole time I'm like, that's just not the chief. That's just not the chief. But okay, you know what? This version's chief. Not a big deal. And there are some very cool scenes of him fighting and whatnot, and the other Spartans that are in there. So I won't try to spoil too much more, but it's a really good scene. And then after that, there's all the dialogue is written poorly. All the decisions that characters make. There's some like really important death at the end of like that action scene where some guy who is basically setting up the reason a main character is going to start being in the show. The way he died, I'll just say there's this new character named Quan, and the way her dad dies, oh my god, her dad dies, spoiler alert. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest death ever. I don't understand why, like, let me explain this to you, and you tell me if this would make sense as a death. So they just finally killed all these aliens, and there's one alien left, and he's like damaged. He's down bad. Like the chief messed him up. So this dude has a gun, and he sees him, and he gets mad because he just watched this one dude like slaughter his whole like 150 plus people he loved. So he runs at him while shooting and yelling, but sprints at him while doing it and gets stabbed. Why would you have a gun?
Had like
Hmm. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
well, they literally had it,
Yeah,
but
it was
because he
like
was so mad,
ruined
and
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
ruined it.
some stupid emotion. I don't think humans do that in real life. I could be wrong. Maybe you get so overcome
Even
with them.
witches,
I
Will
mean,
Smith did.
I mean, but well, yeah, you know what? Me, I stand corrected. Will Smith did kind of do that. You let the emotions get the best of him.
Yeah.
But like, if you have an obvious advantage, like let's say for example, you caught like Hitler, right? And you're like about to kill Hitler and like end it all. And instead you're like, "No, you know what? Instead of shooting him, I want to beat him with my hands." And it takes so long that his army comes in and captures you and he's still alive. Like, why would you do that? Just end it right there. It's right in front of you. Like, kill him or whatever you want to do and then like, then do your celebration or do your extra punches on the body. Like Thanos said, you should have gone for the head. I'm like, bro, yeah, you should have. Why did you spare Thanos? Are you kidding me? Do you not see what he just did to everybody? And then you, oh my god, I'm so over it. I hate those tropes because it's obviously baiting for like a sequel or it's like forcing a reason why something has to happen in a narrative, and I hate it so much because you can still give a reason for characters to have or to make certain decisions. You can still have him like, he's dying and then he's like shooting him from a distance and he's yelling and then he's like runs out of ammo maybe, then he just throws the gun, he starts yelling, and then that's when like the elite like as he's damaged and getting got all these shots on him, he's like just barely starts running after him, and with his like last breath or like the last little bit he kills him right there, and then he dies. Like that would be like, dang, he fought till the very end. He tried running away, but like, you don't run at somebody with that's like if you're in the army, you don't have an assault rifle so you can run and stab people with a bayonet. You have it to shoot the bullets. Why are you running at this elite who's like, by the way, like the resistance member? I think he's probably like 6 something. This elite is like 9 feet tall. So you're not gonna run up and what are you gonna do to me? Like he's gonna just squash your head like a grape. Like what are you talking about? Sorry, a little off topic, but it's stupid. The Halo TV show is dumb. They do stupid crap. I don't like any of the characters. And the thing is they could have done such a better. They could have came at the story of Halo from such a more like interesting like point. Like we're looking at this part where the Covenant's already. I think they're already fully established, or maybe this is only when they have the elites and they're gonna show the things I'm about to talk about. I don't really know where they are in the story, because I don't know the lore like that. But I would have rather have seen episode 1 been like an action scene of like the Master Chief fighting the whole like a little bit of all the Covenant, right? You see him fighting all this, and then they do all this thing and they get to a point where they're setting up like what's going to happen after this fight and whatnot, and then they stop right there. Then they go way back in the timeline and show how the Covenant came to be, how Master Chief came to be, how all these characters came together, and then at the end of season 1 you go back to where we started in season 1, and season 2 is the continuation of that. So you show like the Covenant, if those of you who don't know Halo, is a army full of different species of aliens all fighting for the same purpose, called the Great Journey. They're led by these aliens called the Prophets, which are like high and mighty, and it's like this religious thing. And they're saying, "Oh, it's the Great Journey. We need to fight for the Great Journey," and all this stuff. I'm trying not to like spoil too much of the lore, but what they do is they have their main infantry, which are the elites, like those big dinosaur-looking dudes. And then to further their army, they go to all these different planets and recruit different species. Well, I mean, recruit forcibly so or whatever, but they get these different species to fight with them. I would rather see the taming of the grunts, how hunters came to be, jackals, and see battles and conflicts within getting those aliens themselves, like meeting interesting grunt characters and interesting jackal forces, or like how this one jackal is like the most like rawest one on his planet. They're like gross little like people or whatever, and this one's just like that special one. And then to tame these species they had to kill that one, and it took the elites to do all these tactics. Like that sounds so much cooler than watching human military argue about what to do with the rest of the military. Like I do not care. I see human beings argue and have conflict on a day-to-day basis, especially with the internet, where I can see what's going on with the wars and all that. Like that happens already in real life. I want to see stuff I can't see in real life. I want to see these aliens like Didn't what I just described to you sound more interesting? Like how these alien forces made this army, so they tame these different species and there's battles within this. Like that sounds more interesting than, well, I'm the admiral and I think we should kill this guy. And I was like, wait, but that's the best guy we have. No, he's disobeying orders. Kill him. Like I don't care about that story at all. I do not care about them. There is only one grunt. There's only one grunt in the world. Like not in the TV show, but I'm saying like there's only one series or one property or whatever, one game that has grunts. Halo, there's nothing like grunts from Halo. So I want to see everything about the grunts because that's what I care about is them and the chief and like all these different things, how the Spartan program started, all these things. And they decided to not go with that. And it makes me so irritated because they had so much potential and they decided to waste it on some stupid conflict with these stupid characters and this dumb dialogue and these exposition dumps that are just the worst and all just dumb stuff. I don't care about any of this stuff. So it's a little hard for me to watch and to appreciate, especially when they said they didn't play the freaking games. How are you? That's like me saying I'm gonna make The Last Dance about Michael Jordan, and I've never watched basketball. What do you mean? You've never watched or played basketball, and you're gonna make a show about the GOAT? Are you what? It's like I'm gonna make an album, and I've never listened to music. How would you do that? How could you do that? I'm gonna write the Harry Potter books, and I don't know how to read and write. How would you do that? You can't do that. So it's terrible. Hopefully it gets better, but that's my two piece on that. I always get heated when I talk about it because there's so much potential and I'm so mad. Anyway, now we're going to do a little fun thing I'm going to start adding to the podcast where I mentioned on my story and it seemed like a lot of people, A, didn't understand her, B, maybe they just didn't care. um, I'm going to be doing this thing where one of the viewers is going to be randomly selected if you participate in it. If you say you want to participate in it, I will select you. You send me 10 songs in a playlist. I will fully listen to them and enjoy them and listen to them multiple times to get an idea of how I feel about it. And then I'll talk about it here on the podcast, give like a 1 to 10 rating for the 10 songs you've compiled and how I feel about these songs and what they mean to me. Or if they're brand new, then talk to you about what I liked about them. So let's go ahead and start off. This one, the winner of this week, by default, he's the only one who actually responded. Shout out to you, Mr. Devon, or, well, his real name's Devin, but we always call him Devon the Don. He's the Don Cino, the GOAT, the man. I actually wrote a bar about Don for some upcoming music. I'm going to have at some point in my life. But tell me, I'll just keep down the hush for you. There's a Don bar. Oh, yeah, there's a Don bar. Anyway, so he put the 10 songs he put together. We have ATLiens by Outkast, which is... We'll get into that. Let me save that because we'll get into that later. Okay, let's just talk about that song and that album later for what's coming up in the podcast. You can look in the timestamps and see what I'm talking about. Rosa Parks by Outkast, which is woo, mana, maybe. Oh, come on now, Outkast, bro. I love Rosa Parks. That's like. Apart from like Miss Jackson and all the other Outkast songs that everybody knows, Rosa Parks is like in between the underrated and like the most well known ones, like that middle ground where like some people kind of know about Rosa Parks, but they don't really know about ATLiens. Keep it a buck. I'll be sleeping on Outkast. Anyway, he also has New York State of Mind, which I mean, one of Nas's best songs from Nas's best album. Also, be talking about that later. Maybe I should have saved this for last. We have Nas's Like, which is another really good one. I really like the beat especially, but Nas just flows so smooth on that song. And just in general, that's another goated Nas song. Definitely makes my playlist of like best of Nas and stuff like that. So he's up there. He has Shook Ones Part 2 by Mobb Deep, which those of you who don't know that song, that is the song that... the beat of Shook Ones Part 2 was used for the last battle in the movie 8 Mile. So, the Clarence have a real good marriage and all that. He went to Cranbrook, that's a private school, all that. At least I think that's from the last, it's been a while since I've seen 8 Mile. But yeah, that's one of the most recognizable, classic instrumentals of all time. And Mobb Deep is a really good group. I really like Mobb Deep. They are dope. And that was the first song I heard from them that made me start looking into their the rest of their discography, and it is fantastic. But that's always a classic song with a classic beat on it. He also has Represent by Nas. 3 Nas songs on here. You were just kind of feeling like Nas lately. And Represent is classic, not only as a Nas song, but also for people who play 2K, because that was one of the best songs from 2K16, NBA 2K16. And every time I hear that song, I just think of like going through the menus and playing 2K for the first time. That was the that was the second 2K I've ever owned myself. But that was the first one I started playing seriously and started getting good at. So always gonna have that little extra. You also put The Watcher from the album 2001 with Dre, Eminem, and Nocturnal. That's a song that I kind of forgot about, which I liked it. It's not like the craziest Dr. Dre or anyone song from there, but that's a really classic album, and that's just another good song off there that I think is kind of under the radar. But I enjoyed listening to that again, so that was very cool. Thank you for suggesting one. And then we also have Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z and UGK. I mean, UGK, I need to listen to UGK's own stuff because the song they did with Outkast, the INTL, I don't know if it's initial or intel or whatever, however the heck you pronounce it, but the player's anthem or I Choose You or whatever is ridiculous. And then Big Pimpin' isn't anything different. Has a really recognizable sample, and it's just a good song. Although I don't know, that's not a song I would probably have in my like all time favorite or like playlist that I would be putting on repeatedly. But it's a cool song to hear time and time again. It's just one of those songs that I enjoy when someone else plays it, but I'll never put it on myself. Because I don't know, I just can't really get into Jay-Z like that. I don't know why. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. You Be Killing 'Em by Fab. Why do I always struggle to say it? Fabulous? 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 I know it's not fabulous. Fab- that's just how everyone says it, right? I know it's like spelled with an L. Is that how you spell fabulous? Is it? The way he spells, is that how you actually spell it? I've never typed the word fabulous ever. Okay, my bad. Sorry, just had a nerfed moment. That's a pretty good song. I never really liked Fabulous like that, but that one was okay. Like the beam one. Oh my god, I look so shiny because I'm like sweating because it's getting hot in the room with this light and my window's closed so the audio doesn't get messed up. But that was a cool little song. It's probably my least favorite out the playlist. It's not something that I'm gonna go back to or listen to often. It's not really my cup of tea, but it definitely does sound like a song you would like, Don. So that doesn't make me surprised at all. And then you also have Still Dre, which are still DRE, but come on now. Come on now. Low key might be my favorite song off that album. Maybe. There's a lot of really good songs off that album. But still DRE is just. I almost don't even want to say anything for those who don't know. Just go listen to that. Listen to that album when you see Still DRE. Come on. Make sure you. Still. In them corners and them lolos, girl. Still. Oh, done. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give you an 8.5. The only reason I didn't get a 10 is because I didn't care much for the You Be Killing 'Em. And Big Pimpin' isn't too crazy. But, I mean, it's like legendary and it's good, but it's just not my personal cup of tea. So, definitely some good ones. Let's see, wait, that was 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, cool. Yeah. To make sure I said all 10. But yeah, 8.5 because there were just a lot of really good songs. But a lot of these songs I already knew and already have listened to extensively. So it wasn't like to get a 10 on this part of the podcast. It has to be like something I so did not expect that I was just like, dude, why haven't I heard this before? What the heck? That's how you get a 10. So that's the challenge, is putting me on some new music. But it's also fun to talk about music that we all know and love and that are classics and to revisit those and listen to them again. So shout out to the Don for giving me those. Thank you for the nostalgia trip. He said he didn't really want to shout out, but I'll just tell you, thank you, Don. Appreciate you, my guy. All right, moving on to the main part of the podcast, the big conversation, my big opinion part. I decided to make my top 10 albums, rap albums of all time. But there's some rules. Rule number 1, I can only do one album per artist. I cannot have like, I can't put To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City, and Damn all in there because they would all make my top 10, but I can't do that. So there can only be one Kendrick album. There can only be like one Outkast album, so on and so forth. So that's why when you hear some of these picks, you're going to be like, why would he put that over this one? That's because I already had an album from that artist. If I did my top 10 rap albums just period, that would be a lot more different. It would be a lot of Kendrick, and it would be a good amount of Outkast, and it would be, yeah, a good amount of Tupac. So, take with what you want. But let's go ahead and get into it. I highly advise all you guys listen to these albums front to back and just enjoy them. I guess I'll kind of talk about some of the highlights off the album, but I also kind of don't want to because I kind of don't want to give you. I don't want to say this song is so good and so legendary, and then when you go into it and you hear it, you're gonna be like, okay, this is gonna be the good and legendary song, and I don't want it to persuade you to already think like, okay, this is good, so I gotta find the good parts about it to justify why Deshaun said it's good, or vice versa, be like, Deshaun says it's good, I need to find out the worst parts about the song so he's not right. I want you to go in unbiased, so um, please just listen to these albums for yourself. Try to eliminate any biases like I did when I listened to these. I grew up on some of these, but it's just, let's stop wasting time. Number 10. Number 10, this is the lowest. Number 1 is the highest, 10 is the lowest. Is Graduation by Kanye. I just listened to this album front to back a couple days ago, so there could be some recency bias, which is why it's at 10. It could be some recency bias, but I love so many songs off this freaking album. It's so good. It's my favorite Kanye album for sure. But like, I'm a huge Daft Punk fan, so I've heard Stronger plenty of times. Flashing Lights is it's so much fun to sing that song all the time and rapping and whatnot. It's simple, it's easy to learn. Freaking Good Morning is the opening. Just feels so like, oh, it feels so good, man. You're just like, good morning. Like all that just makes me feel so good. And then there's some other songs on there that I really enjoy that I won't say here, but just listen to those songs. Listen to that album. The best Kanye's ever been, in my opinion. It hit me right when I started. I think I used to listen to songs off that album on my silver iPod Shuffle. So that was, dude. So that was like beginning of listening to music on the go. Like, and I'd be like, God, shout out to the iPod Shuffle. Such a cool idea to have this little clip of music, this little clip. It's like a little paper clip thing you just have anywhere, but it has music. It's wild. I think the iPod Shuffle is probably like the biggest thing that led to like the conveniency, or I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I think the iPod Shuffle was like the beginning to show there's kind of a market for like an iWatch or something like that. Having something small that you can just have on you, because the iWatch can have its own library of music downloaded on itself. Like you can listen to music not off your phone, off the iWatch on your AirPods, but like you could, if you like left your phone at home, you could still listen to music off your watch. Just cool. So, you have like you have so many things. So I don't know. I just really like it. Anyway, Graduation, number 10. Number 9 is Life After Death by Notorious B.I.G. Oh. Oh, I guess that was kind of more of like a Rick Ross. I was kind of mix up their ad libs because they're both just fat. but anyway, this to me is better than Ready to Die and whatnot. It's a pretty lengthy album. There's like 20 songs or something on there. There's a lot of songs on the album. But you have smash hits like Going Back to Cali, Sky's the Limit. I even like the song, oh my God, what's it called? It's going to irritate me so much if I don't remember this. I hate this so much. Dude, freaking, oh my Lord. Hold on. One quick second. I think it's called Another. Is that what it is? Yeah, Another with Lil Kim. It's Biggie trying to sing and he doesn't even sing good. I still love it. I don't care. Hypnotize is on there. Kick in the Door. Mo Money, Mo Problems. Like, come on, guys. There's just too many good songs on here. The 10 Crack Commandments is off there. Like, come on. It's weird because a lot of people who listen to Biggie don't like his albums like that, or don't know his albums because he's so widely accepted. That's a lot of surface level people, which I'm not trying to, by the way, when I say surface level, I'm not trying to be like, you're so surface level, you don't listen to albums like I do. Like, who cares? Listen to music as you want to. But that to me is his best album. People don't give it the time that they should. Number 8, 2014 Forest Hills Drive by C. Joel. I see. By Main Joel. After partying the Jackson, after partying the Jackson 5, he decided to be a rapper. And changed from Jackson to Cole. So Jermaine comes out here. Yeah, it was like it's Jermaine from the Jackson 5, and then he just came out as J. Cole later. That would be sick too, because it's like, his skin got lighter like Michael's, and he just turned into J. Cole. Anyway, 2014. I don't think I have to say anything that hasn't already. There's nothing I could say that hasn't already been said about this album. I'll just say, um, ever since this album, as my friend Devin said and made me think about, and I agree, ever since this album, nothing's come even close to touching it from him. And also kind of in general, but it's really hard to try to recreate the magic that was on 2014. My favorite album from J. Cole is The Sideline Story, but honestly, it might be 2014 when I think about it. I don't know, it could change. But I'm still pretty confident Sideline. But there's, oh my god, Wet Dreams. Wet Dreams! Wet Dreams is a great song, great storytelling, very relatable, very, very relatable for a lot of people. And January 28th is the name of the song, right? Love Yours is just like the most like it's the definition of, you know what? It's gonna be okay. It's like J. Cole's version of All Right. It's like J. Cole's version of All Right by Kendrick. Like it just makes you love and appreciate your life. So there's really no bad songs on this album. There's some songs where I can understand why some people wouldn't go back to them, and I wouldn't go back to every single song on here. But there's so many bangers and like certified classics from him that this is peak J. Cole and really showed what he can do. But I mean, even freaking Ann and I were talking about it that if you listen to 2014 Forest Hills Drive, you will have heard everything J. Cole will ever talk about for the rest of his life. It's always just a different variation or like a sub branch of something from 2014, which is kind of unfortunate. But I mean, it's not like I would prefer that over him lying. He's like, yeah, I went to Cancun and I bought a village, and it's like, no, you didn't. Like, you literally didn't do that. Like, why are you rapping? You literally did not do that. Like, so that's where it is. Okay, all right, moving on. Number 7 is Illmatic by Nas, one of the greatest rappers of all time, one of the greatest New York rappers of all time, and that is some stiff competition because New York almost doesn't miss with rappers. It's crazy, but Illmatic is obviously up there for all their freaking. Oh my god, I had a really big yawn because I was supposed to start sleeping 45 minutes ago. There's so there's so many good songs in here. You have NY State of Mind. You got Life's a Blip, which is featuring AZ. Which I listened to a song that Nas, AZ, and some other person made, and a lot of people were like, "Bro, AZ should have taken off way more than he did." Like, I don't even remember why people were saying he never did, but that's beside the point. The World Is Yours, which is crazy. Crazy iconic from him and whatnot. But there's a lot of just really good song represent from what Devin was talking about earlier. A lot of really good songs on that album, and I love pretty much all of them. And it's a short album, but it's like there's no filler, is what I'm trying to say. So shout out to Illmatic and being a fantastic album. Next we have Straight Outta Compton, which is more of a personal thing because I guess you could kind of say it's not really for everybody. It's very West Coast gangster rap and kind of really pushed the envelope or like redefined what you can and can't say on a rap song and whatnot, especially with F the Police. But it's just them at their peak, them at their best, in my opinion. I don't think they ever hit the same high that they did after Straight Outta Compton as a group. Like obviously, Ice Cube went on to make better stuff. Dre went on to make better stuff. I would even argue Eazy-E went on to do good, make good music by himself, but he's never been better than when he was with NWA. But you got songs like Straight Outta Compton, At the Police, Gangsta Gangsta, the 8 Ball remix, Express Yourself, and Dope Man remix. Those are all fantastic songs. They're very iconic. But really, Straight Outta Compton and At the Police are the main two hard hitters, the two right hooks, the two pinnacles of gangster rap. Those are though it's like it's crazy. Those are just the most some of the most notorious gangster rap songs, and everything after them kind of seems like it was trying to hit that. And it's crazy because that album was released in late '80s, and it sounds like it would be a '90s album kind of, but that's late '80s. To me, it's probably the best album from the '80s when it comes to rap, because everything after it was very open and like very expressive. To me, Straight Outta Compton did what Allen Iverson did for the NBA, where it allowed you to be yourself in your art. And they got a lot of flack for it. And if you saw the movie, especially, which is a fantastic movie, by the way, but if you saw the movie, especially, you see some of the things they've gone through, and it's all from the Straight Outta Compton album. I would say mainly. I mean, obviously, it's mainly F the Police that did it. It's crazy to write a diss track on the Police is never before heard of, and nowadays rappers say it all the time, and people forget that that wasn't really as common of a thing as it is now. Like, I feel like now you hear it in every single song ever by any rapper. There's always some "I hate the police" bar. Anyway, moving on. Now we're in the top five, and this is a very much a personal pick. I don't care. I'll stand by this album forever. Capital Punishment by Big Pun is an album that is so good. It literally puts Big Pun in my top rappers of all time, and it signifies that this guy could have been like one of the freaking goats. This song, this song, what? This album has Big Pun, who is already kind of like a, you know, forgotten rapper because he died when he was so young. I think he was like 26 or something stupid like that. He was so freaking young and died way too quick. But this was his only full album that he made. I think he made one album after this, but it was like a collection of songs that he had kind of around the vault and whatnot after he passed, I think. So this is the one that he made himself. There's a lot of good songs on here, like "Still Not a Player," "The Dream Shatterer," which the Dream Shatterer, which is to me like it's a decent song just like as a song, but it is the best version of like showcase of talent and skill he had with rhyming and the way he would rap and his delivery and stuff like that. It's like the biggest song of that because you have to read the lyrics as he's rapping it, and even if you read them and you hear like if you listen to the songs 10 times in a row, you have the lyrics in front of you and you study the lyrics, you still can't say it exactly the way he does with his Latino accent and like just so many. Oh my god, my favorite like little part of it. uh I don't even think I could do it. My god, how did it go? I don't even know. I keep mixing it with some other song in my head, but it's just really really good. You have "I'm Not a Player," which is pretty good. Twins, Boomerang, so like that's a 24 song album, and then it has "I Will Warn You Guys," anybody who's listening to it. The fourth song on here, "Taster's Choice," which is a skit, is literally just the sound of him having you know what with women. They argue over it, and then he helps them, and then they go back to doing it. So if you're like listening to it like out loud on your speakers and families in the house or something, turn it down for that one. I had the privilege of listening to them in my AirPods, and I was like, bro, what the heck is going on right now in my ears? Like, why am I listening to Big Pun do this to people? Like, what is going on? But you know, it's a lot of rappers have stuff like that, so it is what it is. But that's more of a personal pick. But I highly encourage anybody who's a fan of like I guess you could call it hardcore rap, like New York lyricism, where it's like take Biggie but make him Latino and more like just like ooh, just it's almost like Midwest chopping, but still very New York rap. It's weird, it's crazy. I love it. Number four is gonna be the Eminem Show. I grew up on this album so much, it's ridiculous. He has just that defines so much of my childhood, like learning to rap songs. Like I remember I used to listen to "Cleaning Out My Closet" a lot. Um, what were some of the other songs on there? I can't even remember. There's like 8 songs that I like off there. Freaking, and I'm like blanking on the names of them right now, which is why I have to keep looking at the actual album itself to remember what songs I really liked off them. And I think I'm contradicting myself because I said I wasn't gonna do that, and I'm doing it anyway. That's just how we do it on Zabu's World. Shout out to anybody who realized I changed my YouTube name, by the way. Nobody's told me that, but if you realize that it's not Zabu and now it's Zabu's World, no caps, is ridiculous. Yeah, cleaning out my closet without me, Superman Haley song Till I Collapse and My Dad's Gone Crazy are fantastic songs. More so without me and cleaning out my closet and Till I Collapse isn't too bad. Superman Haley song and My Dad's Gone Crazy is more of like just personal picks that I used to like sing with my mom and laugh while we would sing it. It's kind of fun to just kind of learn it and listen to him rap about a bunch of nonsense. But yeah, it was pretty close with Encore, which I know a lot of people don't like Encore, but I do like Encore. You do? Oh, I didn't know you liked Encore. You're so sweet. Oh my god. Thanks for adding that. Is there anything else you want to say? Okay, then go back to your Mario Kart because you're not Zabu's World. No, I'm just kidding. Ew! Imagine if I started getting like that. Like, no, no, no. I'm sorry, but you're irrelevant. If you were an animal in a zoo, you'd be an irrelevant. Anyway, yeah, that's definitely up there. It really sucks too because it really sucks because it sucks because everything after Encore has been terrible, and he's never ever come close to anything like the Eminem Show Encore or his like late '90s albums like the Marshall Mathers LP and stuff like that. So I don't think Eminem has it in him to ever get that back. I mean, he literally said on one of the songs off of on one of his older albums, he said like, "I'm never gonna be able to top what my name is," and I was like, "Oh yeah." See, he's telling him like, "I'm not gonna be able to top what my name is." I was like, "Ooh." Then I realized, no, you're right. You literally cannot do that. Like that was just he was just admitting something. It wasn't even flexing. He was just like coming to term with his demons. It sucks. Anyway, moving on. Number 3 is going to be Me Against the World by Tupac, and there's a very specific reason why this is up this high. When I was just getting into listening to albums front to back, like I never did that until one day I decided I should. Because I used to just find songs I would like and put them in a playlist. Um, the first album I ever listened to front to back was Knock Madness by Hobson. What an album to start on. Don't worry, that album did not make this list. It's in my honorable mention if I had to make one though, because it's like such a I grew up on it, so it is what it is. Anyway, Me Against the World. I remember I went into one of my old jobs when I used to work at Champs as an assistant manager. I had to get to the store. I think it was 2 hours early, so I had 2 hours to burn completely by myself. My manager left his Beats Pill speaker at the store for me so I could listen to music while I was there. So I just put it on full blast, alone in a store, doing like working, doing stuff I had to get ready for the day. And I remember listening to that album, and I was just enjoying the whole experience of listening to an album front to back so much. It's interesting because on that record, it's the theme is mainly like Tupac. Well, it's literally him against the world. It's him feeling like being in the hospital he's in. They're trying to kill him, and he can't trust anybody. I'm assuming this came out after he got shot, right? When he was gonna go visit Biggie and he got shot. I think, right? Probably. Well, why else would he be in the hospital? It wasn't like, yeah, I was constipated, and then none of my dogs wiped. Like he got shot, so he felt like it was just him against the world, and I like how he has the theme going in there without literally saying, well, other than the song, it's just me against the world. That's literally the name of the song, but it's not so hit on the head so much. Where you're like, okay, I get it, you're by yourself. Like, stop, Tupac. It's a lot of really good songs on there that I like by Tupac. It was between that and All Eyes on Me, and although little Ann over there, her preferred one would be All Eyes on Me. My personal one is Me Against the World. It puts it over All Eyes on Me because of the story that goes with it, since it was one of the first albums I listened front to back that I absolutely loved. But the songs that I especially like on here is If I Die Tonight, Me Against the World, So Many Tears. Dear Mama is one of the most beautifully written songs I've ever heard in my life. I love that song so much. It's the only Mother's Day song there is, realistically. Or Mama by Boys to Men. But like Dear Mama is the one. Whenever it's Mother's Day, I guarantee you will see at least 7 people post a picture of their mom on their Instagram, and it'll be playing Dear Mama. You know it, and the moment I said it, I know it hit you in the head as somebody you're thinking of because you probably did it yourself. Don't lie, you know you did, unless you don't have a good mom. And moving Moving on to my number two. And this might come as a shock to a lot of you guys. I've talked about it before in the podcast, and I know I have, so hopefully you guys have listened to it. Number two is AT Aliens by Outkast. I do not care. I don't want to hear. It's better than Speaker Box. It's better than Stakanya. It's better than Aquemini, which is close. It's better than any other Outkast album. AT Aliens is the greatest Outkast has ever been. It's such a good freaking album, especially when you consider the fact that we think of them usually as Miss Jackson, Hey stuff like that. We think of them as just like some like singles here and there, but then when you realize that like this album literally was pushing so many boundaries at the time. I learned a little bit about some of the history of like Outkast earlier today before recording this, and apparently when they were coming out, the South was very much like loud and kind of like party songs here and there, like whoop there it is and stuff like that. It was very like one hit wonders that would just kind of get you moving at a party, but not like taken seriously as rap albums. Outkast was the first to really put the South on the map, and they wore their Southern pride on their chest, like just proud, and they made the beats on there. Oh my god, man. Outkast is already my number one or number two favorite rap group. You can, even though it's a duo, but it's a group, excuse me, of all time. I would even put them over Wu-Tang. Yeah, I said it. I don't care that I said it. And they won an award for like best upcoming artist. And like when when obviously were up and coming, it's not like they gave it to them last year. Like Outkast is on the rise, like last year. But when they first got that award, they got it in New York and they got booed relentlessly on the stage because New York felt like rap was a New York thing and that Outkast was trying to steal it. And like, how can people from the South make a rap album good, or like how can they really push the boundaries? And Andre straight up called them closed-minded so it is what it is. The proof's in the pudding. You can listen to AT Aliens. I mean, do you want me to list all the good songs on here? Oh, you do? Okay, great. Because this is the last I'm going to do that on because my number one doesn't have a single bad song on there. Anyway, you got Two Dope Boys in the Cadillac, AT Aliens, Wheels of Steel, Jazzy Bell, Elevators. Actually, you know what? Looking at this, there isn't a single bad song on this album. So yeah, listen to that front to back, and you'll never have to press the skip. You'll only have to press the rewind button to listen to that song again. I'm telling you, it's literally a 10 out of 10 album. The only thing it doesn't do is it well, I guess not trying to tell some crazy narrative or try to like get you to really think about something. It's just a really great album. And not every album has to be what number one is. So, but I'm sorry. AT Aliens, the writing is good, the deliveries and performances are good, and the instrumentals are good on their own. Throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And then everybody let me hear you say, oh yeah, here, now throw your hands. It's just two dope boys in the Cadillac. Oh, it's so nice, bro. I swear to God, I love that. I'm going to listen to that album tonight at work. Anyway, moving on. The number one album. Anybody who knows me knows who my favorite rapper is. If you've been watching the podcast, you know who my favorite rapper is, and it's really not even up for debate, context, or like, I'm not here for any debating, any questions. I don't care about your opinions, what you've been through. I don't care about your race, ethnicity, your age, where you're from. I don't care about what language you speak. It does not matter because no matter what, you are not going to convince me that To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar is not the greatest rap album of all time. I'm not going to have my mind changed about that. You're not going to change my mind. I'm sorry. It's too perfect. It's everything I've ever wanted in a rap album ever. The title is wild. You're like, To Pimp a Butterfly. That makes no sense. Why is there a butterfly in the name of a rap album? Butterflies are supposed to be girly and like faint and dumb. But then you have crazy good instrumentals, just like so well put together, produced, sampled well. It comes together so nice. You have amazing lyrics that are so freaking it's poetry. It's just poetry. And at the end of just about every song, there's a little piece of a poem that Kendrick wrote, and the little piece that he shares at first leads into what the next song is. Then at the end of the second song, it adds a little bit, it reveals a little bit more to the poem, and that leads to the next song. So they're all intertwined and they're telling a narrative, and you don't even realize it, but it's all coming together. So you're going on this journey, learning all these things, and like you can really learn stuff from this album and just enjoy it from surface level and stuff like that. They have songs like All Right, which is literally that song got me through the most depressing time in my entire life. The hardest time. I had listened to All Right probably, like, not even exaggerating, like at least 100 times when I was going through that in a span of like 3 months. It was wild because it really made me feel like I was going to be all right. You saw it at the halftime show too. There's a reason he did that there. Okay. Yep. Fire. And then after you go through this ridiculous journey of all these perfectly put together things and ideas and concepts and all this stuff, I mean, you even have songs like which is, oh my god, dude, like it's like not the greatest rap song as a song, but like the message in it is so good. And then at the end, where it's kind of like a skit where he's kind of like preaching or kind of talking to like a group of young kids, like he's on stage like kicking game basically. It's so like it's exactly what I like. They line up so much with my way of thinking and whatnot. It's so good. I will say, To Pimp a Butterfly, it gets so much more value if, as much as I'm gonna just be upfront with it. It hits so much more if you're black and if you go through a lot of struggles that black people go through. It hits so much differently than if you were some white dude suburbs. Yeah, you're definitely not white or a dude. You're just some white dude from the suburbs who's like, yeah, I like rap. I like rap here and there. It's kind of surface level. It's not gonna hit you the same, and I get it, but it's just so perfect. And then you get the payoff, which I'm not gonna even say what it is. All I'm gonna say is the very last song on there. When you listen to all these things, you get the full poem, and you get, oh my god, the biggest, like, what the freaking heck? It's ridiculous. I remember I told somebody one day that Biggie and Tupac laid the foundation of the land, and then Kendrick built a mansion on it large enough to fit his talent. And that's what he is, and that's the album that proved he became the GOAT after I heard that album. I will admit it took me 3 full listens to really grasp, because at first I was just listening to it at work, not paying attention to what I was listening to. I was like, yeah, that was cool. Not anything too crazy, but it was cool. Then I decided to lay down on my bed one day and listen to it fully, and then I was like, oh my god. Then I watched reviews on it and re-listened to it again. I was like, oh my god. Like, I keep learning something new every time I go back. It's crazy. It's the greatest album ever. It is the equivalent of the Mona Lisa or the Statue of Liberty, where it's such an iconic piece of art and it's such a masterpiece, you cannot recreate it. You cannot make a To Pimp a Butterfly. And that is why that is the best rap album I've ever heard. And when we're talking about music albums in general, it's the only album, there's only one album that can beat it, which is Thriller. It's the greatest music album of all time. Don't get me started on that. To Pimp a Butterfly is number 2 for music as a whole. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. It is 53 minutes long, so it's freaking ridiculous. But it's probably going to upload on Saturday. So I know I always say podcast every Friday. I try to get this one out to you guys, but it's probably going to upload on Saturday. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening if you made it this far. Follow me on Instagram down below so you can be maybe picked to send me a 10-song playlist, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into it and whatnot. So, love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Nothing but love. And did you want to say or put your face or your hand or something like that in the camera? You want to flip off the camera like you love doing? Okay. Well, she's nerfed, so I'll see you guys later. I love you guys. Blah.